So along with the direct services that we provide, we also have our kind of what we think of as preventative medicine, where we're trying to inform artists about how to prepare and take care of the business side of their artwork. And as we know, this is often the last thing many artists want to deal with. You would rather be creating work. But if you think about the time and value and energy and passion that you put into creating that work, if you could take just a little bit of that passion to put into protecting the work that you have created, it can pay dividends. There are so many stories and examples of artists that, for example, are working in a home studio without insurance that covers that work, that could lose everything in any type of natural disaster. And had they just read the insurance policy or asked for help in looking at the insurance policy, they might have learned that for very little extra cost, they could have covered that home business, but they didn't. And all of that, invaluable work that they created could be a loss. Another example would be in kind of having your business ducks in a row. Things, very simple, cost-effective things like forming an LLC or incorporating as a business gives you an amazing amount of liability protection. If anything were to happen with your artwork, such as someone being injured by it, any kind of lawsuit or liability related to that, and that would protect you and your personal assets, so that even if there were some loss, it's limited to just your business assets. It protects your home and your family. And those can be really valuable and very inexpensive protections that many artists fail to take just because they don't have a chance to get around to it. And so we're here to try to make that easy. And there are some wonderful resources out there, including the Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts, that are places you can go to ask questions about what you can do to be more prepared for disasters, for the unexpected. Other examples of liability risk that artists could encounter, of course, we think about having someone in your home studio and being injured. We work with many artists that do informal classes for children in the neighborhood, for friends and colleagues. If there's any kind of injury, that potentially could be a risk. Thinking about artists that use potentially dangerous chemicals in their work. What if that leaks out of your studio and gets into the neighbor's property? What's your liability there? Particularly for the sculptors we work with, we've seen many issues with concrete artists and the impact on their surrounding neighbors, potential risk for that. In addition, if you're putting your artwork out into the public, whether through a website, through an exhibit, there are another host of liability issues that could come up from any type of intellectual property or copyright infringement concerns, whether they're legitimate or not. It doesn't prevent you from having to defend yourself if someone accuses you of something like that, and could potentially force you to defend yourself in a trial, a very expensive process. And there are often ways you can protect against that through insurance or other preventative contracting. And anytime you're collaborating with another artist, I think that's also a wonderful opportunity, but also a potential liability risk for a dispute related to the collaboration, for a damage of joint artwork. And we've seen many situations come out of disputes between collaborators, or perhaps your artwork involves appropriating existing work or other people's artwork. Again, that can be ripe with liability. So none of this is to keep you from pursuing that type of artwork, or to not say that those are great and valid options. You just want to make sure that you're protecting yourself so that you can. One of the things that we say often is that we help you focus on your business issues so that you can do what you do best, which is create your artwork. So with a few, simple and quick steps to put some protection into place at the front end, you can avoid going through some very drawn out and difficult battles on the back end, trying to fight and protect your work after the fact. Unfortunately, we do see some of the worst case scenarios, the things that no one thinks will happen to them, but they do. And, that could be an example of being sued over any one of these liability risks that we've talked about, of your artwork hurting someone else damaging your work, either of those, or any of those situations. And unfortunately, in this day and age, any kind of legal proceeding is very expensive. There are court costs and there are, of course, attorney costs. And even if you are, working with a volunteer or someone on your behalf, it's still a very expensive and time-consuming process. Most trials that we would be involved with go on for upwards of a year and could cost between tens and potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars, particularly if any type of intellectual property matter is involved. And all that is to say, many of those risks are insurable. Now, the insurance doesn't just cover, whatever that the risk of exposure is, but often a good insurance policy will cover to defend you, to pay to defend you for those legal costs and the cost of hiring a lawyer and your court costs, so that even if you are in the right and you have to fight that battle in court, the insurance company is picking up the bill, not yourself personally, because I know most people, it'd be hard to come up with that kind of cash, in an emergency, even if you know that you might succeed at the back end and get it back later. Having the insurance company be able to pay to defend you along the way is a huge benefit. So those are just some of the things that you're paying for in finding a good insurance policy that you understand and can use to protect yourself.